Verily, a record of spoken words. Upon the completion of mine surgery, my kin did vow to assist me in my recovery. Instead, they embarked upon a frosty journey upon the slopes, leaving me in solitude, bereft of sustenance and remedy. Upon my summons to my brother, he did retort, "Do not lay upon me the weight of guilt. We are on holiday, not thy servants." To this I merely murmured, "Gratitude for revealing thy true self." 2 weeks hence, I resolved upon a course they did not foresee. With a tempest of 32 missives, they did besiege me. "Pray, lend us thine ear. We beseech thee." Alas, I find myself at a loss for how to commence this discourse. In sooth, I have ne'er ventured to share mine thoughts within this realm, yet a tempest of ire doth stir within me, and I must needs express it forthwith, seeking not the counsel of others. Verily, I must needs express it all. Forgive me, if my words do wander and meander. In yonder days past, this occurrence did unfold, yet verily, the strange air did commence ere that time. Lo, I did undergo a surgical rite upon mine left knee. Nothing untamed doth stir. Not akin to the brink of death, but rather a true span of restoration. At this moment, I find myself unable to traverse the ground beneath my feet. Unable am I to steer the chariot of motion. Mine kin did vow to lend their aid. In the lower chambers of my progenitor's abode do I reside. All doth contribute, evermore, in unison. My parents' younger brother, nearing the age of 30, hath taken a wife, yet they bear no offspring, and doth reside across the town. I am the eldest among us. Verily, I have ever been the one who doth manage affairs, thou knowest, the one summoned when misfortune befalls, or when a steed is required for transport, or when a gathering of kin doth need arranging. Though I may not be the simplest of souls to reckon with, I have ever been a steadfast companion. The instructions for recovery were most clear and unambiguous. "Pray, I beseech thee, lend me thy aid in matters of sustenance. Stairs dost present a hindrance most dire. Pray, a soul to deliver my potions at appointed hours. Some matters concerning bandages. All kin didst play their part in steadfast support. Mine own mother hath crafted a gathering of souls, a chat most fair, to lend support in the time of surgery's design or what not. Lo, but 2 days hence before the fateful surgery, my brother dost commence to behave most strangely. In yonder kitchen, I did overhear him converse with his fair wife, beseeching her not to delay their journey once more. And he shall fare well. He doth ever remain so. I did release it unto the winds. Perchance he was but burdened by the weight of his cares, or some such affliction. My brother doth ever treat me as though I wear a mask of pretense. Should I find myself in ill health, he doth jest that I merely seek the gaze of others. If I beseech for aid, he shall roll his eyes in disdain. I perceive that he doth regard me as overly tender of heart. Verily, mine own progenitors, most notably my mother, oft do proclaim, he doth not mean it. He doth jest, forsooth. A great burden he bears. To be frank, he hath oft escaped the consequences of his misdeeds. In our youth, when mischief did abound, he would shatter a thing, and I would bear the blame. I speak not in exaggeration. The day of the surgery arrives. All is well. My mother doth keep vigil by my side the first night, whilst my father doth come and go. I find solace in slumber. On the morrow, it is but I and the flickering screen in the parlor. My mother doth send a missive, proclaiming her tardiness. My brethren are engaged in errands most pressing. I do summon the group chat with a message, yet silence reigns for hours unending. On the third morn, none dost arrive to grace my presence. The alarm upon my device doth sound, heralding the time for my medicaments, yet I am unable to rise swiftly enough to grasp the foolish shelf where they have been placed. I send forth another message, but still naught in reply. I attempt to call my mother, yet the line doth ring unanswered. My vexation brews, yet I resign myself to the circumstance. Perchance they doth tarry longer than expected. I bide my time until the noon hour, yet still no tidings. My hunger doth grow, and a faintness besets me. The larder is bare, save for some yogurt past its prime and a solitary jar of mustard. None hath replenished it since I did fill it with frozen repasts ere my surgery. I endeavor to ascend the stairs, but nearly find my downfall. I summon my brother forthwith. Upon the speaker's breath, I discern the whispers of the wind and the strains of melody. He doth inquire, What news dost thou bring? Pray tell, wherefore art all the folk? I seek assistance, quoth he with mirth. We traverse the path, good sir, ascending yonder mountain. Verily, I exclaim, What? Who dost thou mean by we? He doth reply, Mother, father, spouse, and he. They embark upon a skiing venture. I comprehend it not. I respond, I am truly ensnared here. I cannot even procure my medicines. He doth sigh. He doth proclaim, Pray, do not lay upon me the weight of guilt. We are in the midst of leisure, not thy servants. He doth assert, I am a man of maturity. I shall fare well. I oft make a grand affair of matters. Verily, I declare, this is no jest. I am truly in anguish. I beseech thee to return. He doth reply, Alas, we did conspire thus. Thou shalt be well. Pray, order delivery or some such thing. I softly murmur, I thank thee for revealing thine true self. He doth hang up the line. Mine eyes do gaze upon my device. Lo, the group chat doth lie in silence. With earnest heart, I seek to summon my dear mother. Hark, a message left in silence. Attempt, dear father. As well it be. I did send a missive to mine aunt. She doth exclaim, Oh, I believed thou wert with kin on the journey. Art thou certain? I dispatch unto her an image of mine leg brace amidst the desolate kitchen. She doth but send a simple thumbs up, proclaiming, Inform me shouldst thou require aught. Thus, I find myself ensnared in a curious fog, a tempest of hunger and ire for the ensuing hours. In yonder chamber I didst discover some aged crackers, and thus I partook of their humble sustenance. Lo, I do summon sustenance, yet the bearer of my repast finds himself unable to breach the threshold of mine abode. Thus, he doth abandon my meal without, whereupon it grows cold ere I can muster the strength to rise and claim it. In jest, I strive to find mirth in the folly of it all. In the twilight hours, I dost perceive the sound of my neighbor's chariot upon the gravelled path. I beseech him to assist in retrieving my sustenance from yonder realm beyond. He gazes upon me as if to inquire, Good sir, whither hath thy kin departed? I conjure forth some feeble excuse. Once more, I venture into the realm of the group chat. Verily, naught doth remain. Lo, my brother's fair spouse doth share a likeness upon her tale, clad in garments for the snowy slopes, their countenances aglow with joyous mirth. Lo, I behold mine progenitors in the shadowed recesses yonder. Mine eyes dost find no rest. Mine ears dost echo with the sound of that fateful call, played and replayed in the chambers of my mind. Mine ire doth swell. Neither sorrow nor grief doth plague my heart, but rather a tempest of ire doth stir within. Oft do I ponder, how hath fate led us to this juncture? Verily, I have shielded them on countless occasions, mended myriad misdeeds. Though I am no saint, I have ne'er abandoned another in their hour of need. I find myself awake, devising plans in the stillness of night. Upon mine device, I commence to inscribe a ledger, chronicling each occasion I hath rendered aid, every boon bestowed, each debt I hath settled, and every instance my brother hath borrowed my chariot or sought refuge within my abode. Upon reflection, I ponder the intricate web of our familial coffers, how all is interwoven in a delicate tapestry. Verily, I do not proclaim that I shall embark upon a course most reckless or unlawful, yet I shall not merely linger in this place, consuming naught but humble crackers. I shall not bide my time for an expression of contrition. If they believe this tale hath reached its final act, they are sorely mistaken and blind to the unfolding drama. Time doth abound, and a multitude of receipts I possess. Uncertain am I of the path that lies ahead, yet I shall no longer play the role of the family's second choice. Verily, if thou hast perused these words to this point, I extend my gratitude unto thee. Should aught transpire, I shall convey tidings forthwith, yet at present I find myself vexed and engaged in the crafting of lists. If any soul possesseth wisdom on how to exact retribution whilst remaining within the bounds of the law, I shall not allow this transgression to pass unchallenged. Not in this hour. Behold, an update hath arrived. Verily, I have returned. Verily, I did not anticipate such a multitude to take heed or hold my last missive in regard. Yet, I do express my gratitude for thy indulgence in mine outpouring of thoughts. Here I remain, within these walls. My knee doth remain in a most lamentable state. Yet, no soul hath graced mine abode in flesh, save for the neighbor on that singular occasion. Lo! A full week hath passed since the frosty excursion upon the slopes, and here I find myself, partaking of humble noodles from the microwave, my spirit growing ever more vexed. Yet, the strangest aspect of this time is the profound silence that doth envelop me. Not merely the abode, which doth echo with silence, but verily, the gathering of voices in the chat doth resemble a desolate graveyard. Not so much as a jest, I prithee. None did utter a word, for my brother did sever our discourse with haste. One might presume that a soul would deign to inquire, or at the very least, feign concern. Upon mine eyes dost fall the remnants of their presence, as if a soul hath abandoned a chalice of brew, half consumed, resting in the basin's embrace. Lo! There lie winter coats, cast aside by the threshold. Once more I gaze within the cold confines of yonder fridge, yet it remains barren, save for the aged mustard and a cheese that hath grown most unyielding. Lo! I dost open the cold chamber once more, in vain hope of finding sustenance, though deep within I am aware that naught resides therein. Upon mine own device, I did commence the assembly of a ledger, chronicling the potions neglected, that I might maintain a vigilant watch o'er their absence. Lo! The clamor of alarms doth ring throughout the day. In mine endeavor to shift yon belongings to the lower realm, that I might evade the perilous ascent, I find myself beset by a most arduous trial. Once did I falter. Not a descent, but rather a curious glide gainst the wall, yet it did unsettle my spirit. Once more, I did endeavor to send a missive to mine aunt. She dost inquire, Art thou certain they did leave thee thus? Perchance thou hast misinterpreted. I replied, Come hither and witness for thyself. Yet she merely uttered, I am too occupied. I did call upon my cousin, hoping he might pay a visit. He doth declare, Good sir, I wish not to interpose betwixt thee and thy brother. Thou art ever at odds over trifles. I replied, Nay, 'tis not a quarrel. I merely seek sustenance. He then inquired, Why dost thou not summon provisions to be delivered? I did declare, quoth I, Alas, no hand to aid in the gathering. He doth utter, I know not, good sir, that is most unfortunate. Thus I commenced to procure mine provisions in modest portions, one repast at a time, for verily, I am unable to bear the weight of bags. My coin is dwindling more than it ought. To speak truthfully, I am vexed with mine own self for lacking foresight. Yet, I did not anticipate their retreat. My brother's wife hath shared an image of her newly acquired ski boots. Mine own mother didst express her pride beneath a portrait of my brother, perched atop a lofty hill. Yet, naught was bestowed upon me, not even a mere like upon my post concerning the surgery. Thus, I commenced to chronicle mine own plight. I captured images of the desolate abode, the kitchen, the neglected medicines. A ledger I have compiled, detailing each instance of my aid, the funds I have disbursed, the repairs I have rendered, the times I have rescued them from financial despair. What purpose this shall serve, I know not, yet 'tis a comfort to behold it all laid bare. The most maddening aspect is how all around me behave as though this be the norm. My brother hath always been permitted to treat me as though I exaggerate, as though I am but a sensitive soul. I comprehend it well. He is the favored one. He hath ever evaded consequence, for my parents deem him a diligent worker or some such folly. Verily, they dost presume I shall ever bear the weight of all burdens, regardless of how dire the straits may become. I did partake in a discourse via the enchanted mirror with a friend of my mother. She doth inquire from time to time, and she is of a pleasant nature. She spake thus, Art thou certain thou art not merely indulging in the theatrics of the moment? Perchance they believed thou wouldst fare well. I did declare, I verily cannot procure sustenance. Alas, I have neglected mine remedies. I find myself unable to ascend the stairs. She did divert the discourse to her hound. I comprehend her plight. Who would wish to accept that a kin could possess such chill? I, too, would have doubted it in days gone by, yet here we stand. On a certain eve, I perceived a sound at the threshold. I fancied it might be one of my own, yet lo, it was merely the neighbor once more. He was engaged in the disposal of refuse and caught the sound of my television. He inquired of my well-being, to which I replied, "Aye, all is well." Yet, I am not wholly virtuous, I confess. Lo, I find myself in a tempest of ire. My mind doth wander to the myriad ways in which they lean upon my steadfastness. The family discourse I did establish. It is I who doth monitor the accounts, the communal treasures of our abode, the shared delights of our viewing. I am the one who summons the plumber when misfortune doth strike, the one who tends the garden when my father is unable. I am the dutiful son, ever reliable. In contemplation deep, I pondered what fate might befall should I cease my labors henceforth. What if I withdrew from the circle of discourse? What if I relinquished the burden of dues, forsook the orchestration of familial matters, and neglected the repairs that bind us? What if I did erase my name from the ledgers? Thus, I commenced to compile a scroll, a ledger of all accounts I steward, each shared obligation, every kindness rendered in the span of a year, each instance my brother sought coin and forgot to return, and every call from my progenitors beseeching my aid in mending what was amiss. And all was cast aside. To lend my aid, I did send a missive to my brother. I spake, "I trust thou art enjoying thyself." He did respond, "Perchance thou shouldst learn the art of independence." I offered no rejoinder. At last, my mother did text but 2 days hence. She declared, "We shall return anon. I do hope thou art faring well, dear heart." No apology. I did not deign to respond. I shall not raise my voice, nor shall I strike the doors with force, nor ignite a quarrel. Lo, I find myself at the end of my tether. Yet, I shall ensure they perceive the weight of my resolve. Forsooth, I possess the keenest insight into their vulnerabilities. I shall strike not with a tempest of words, but by withdrawing the very foundation upon which they stand. Thus, I shall proceed forthwith. I shall remove mine belongings from the common realms. I shall alter the keys to all that bears my name. Lo, I do remove mine own name from the ledger of debts. I shall permit the discourse of our fellowship to wither and fade. The next gathering of kin I shall not attend, regardless of their pleas. This time, I shall not be the one to mend the rift. I know not why, but I felt compelled to voice these thoughts. This tale is far from concluded. Methinks they are under the illusion that all remains as it was. Yet, I tire of donning the mantle of the villain for the sake of mine own dignity. Verily, if thou hast ever endured the burden of kin who regard thee as naught but a means of conveyance, thou surely dost comprehend. I shall pen another missive should they deign to appear or awaken to their transgressions. Yet, I tarry not for such an event, for mine own designs lie elsewhere. An update, indeed. Thus, I did forewarn thee that I would cease to be the shadow of a plan. I awaited, in truth, to discern if any among my blood would perceive the shift. Yet, what doth astonish is the length of time ere the first ripple did strike. Methinks, when thou art the silent steward of all that doth function, none take heed until the very fabric begins to unravel. The initial token of this decline was most trifling, yet it brought forth a mirthful chuckle. My brother did send a missive, inquiring for the cipher to our familial storage unit. This place is no mere repository of chance. Herein lies the gathering of winter's accoutrements, where old tomes and ski paraphernalia find their resting place. He doth inquire, "Couldst thou send the code?" I did but respond, "Not available." He did send forth 3 question marks, yet thereafter silence reigned. On the morrow, my mother did inquire as to why the autopay for our house's insurance hath failed. I do declare unto her, "My name I have removed from the account." "Thou must needs arrange it thine own self," quoth she. "Thou canst not act thus without imparting knowledge unto us." I replied, "Thou hast abandoned me in this place. No longer dost thou hold sway o'er my fate." Thus, I find myself besieged by a flurry of missives, this time from my sire, who doth seldom reach out unless it be for matters requiring my deft hand to mend. He doth proclaim, "This is not thy nature." I reply, "Indeed, it is so now. In this realm, I seek not the tempest of discord, yet I shall bear no more the burdens of others. I have traversed through my coffers, and hath severed every recurring tribute linked to the abode that bears my name, utilities, the web of connection, even the refuse collection. A courteous missive I dispatched to our common correspondents, declaring that should any wish to maintain the flow of these services, they must needs take up the mantle themselves. Thus, I present the truth, devoid of tumult. Verily, I do perceive that my brother shall be most vexed. He hath oft portrayed me as one given to excess of emotion, yet, in his hour of need, he doth find solace in my unwavering support. A curious burden he bears, this strange grievance regarding my tender nature. Yet, when the hour strikes for a loan or a chariot to convey him, it is I alone whom he doth summon. I cease to respond to his missives, leaving them unacknowledged. Verily, the most uncomfortable moment arose when my progenitors returned from their sojourn. I could discern their voices above, doors being struck with force, tempers flaring. My mother, with heavy steps, descended the corridor and flung open the door to the basement without so much as a greeting. She launched forth without preamble, questioning my demeanor. "Why dost thou behave thus? We are kin. Thou canst not abandon us in such suspense." I did proclaim, "Thou hast left me here solitary post-surgery." She did reply, "The timing was most unfortunate. Thy brother didst contrive the journey long since." "We did believe thou wouldst fare well," quoth I, "yet I was not well, and thou didst show no concern." She retorted that I was acting like a child. I replied, "I am no longer thy safety net." With that, she did slam the door and stormed back aloft. Upon that fateful weekend, my brother didst arrive, perchance to unleash his ire in the flesh. He did enter unbidden and commenced with, "Thou art magnifying this matter beyond measure. Dost thou desire us to implore or plead, perchance?" I did declare, "I wish thee to tend to thine own troubles for once." He approached me with fervor, thus I did push him aside. He did strive to don a visage of strength, yet verily, 'tis but empty words that escape his lips. He did proclaim, "Thou art the bane of our kin. Mother doth wear a frown upon her brow." My father, in a fit of ire, did exclaim, "Thou art a knave." To which I retorted, "Perchance thou shouldst have pondered this ere thou didst abandon me in this plight." He branded me a scoundrel, and did depart in a tempest of fury. In the meantime, woes did accumulate, bills lay unpaid, and letters did gather in heaps. The garden, once tended by my hand, now lay in disarray, for it was my duty to keep it fair. Upon witnessing my father endeavor to tame the unruly grass, only to falter midway, I confess a certain satisfaction did stir within me. A few days hence, my uncle did call, inquiring of the tumult, for it seemed my parents sought his aid to mend the Wi-Fi. I recounted the tale in full. He fell into a thoughtful silence, uttering, "That is indeed a plight, yet thy mother, she doth abhor discord." I replied, "Perchance she ought to strive for its prevention, for not all did rally to my cause. A few cousins did send missives, urging, 'Thou shouldst simply let it be.' 'It is family,' quoth I unto them. 'I did declare that they would not have forsaken thee, so why dost thou deem it just for me?' Yet, what truly did pierce their hearts was the matter of coin. My brother didst send me a missive, filled with ire, for the forthcoming family gathering hath been compelled to be rearranged. 'Tis I who hath ever secured the venue, my name inscribed upon the lease of our shared abode. I did respond, "Not my concern." "I do withdraw from all pacts," quoth he, "for thou art but vindictive." I replied, "Nay, I act as thou hast instructed." Even mine own mother did call upon me with great frequency, her tone shifting twixt ire and supplication. I kept mine responses brief. "No interest, not mine affair. Some may deem this trifling, yet verily, 'tis not revenge for its own sake. Rather, it is a matter of refusing to be trodden upon once more. They have made it plain that I am but a servant until mine own needs arise. Lo, now they dost perceive the plight that ensues in mine absence, when I am not present to render aid to all. I have grown more audacious, verily. To be honest, I did summon the bank and did request the division of our shared account, taking my rightful portion, leaving them to untangle their own affairs. I did pen a missive to the steward of our familial abode. declaring that all matters of maintenance henceforth should be directed to my progenitors, not to me. In a fit of vexation, I didst sever ties with mine own brother upon the realms of social discourse, that I might escape the lamentations of his posts, steeped in the woe of familial treachery. Lo, my device hath been besieged with a cacophony of notifications. Days have passed since I last gazed upon the group's missives, yet when last I beheld it, a torrent of messages didst flow forth, as if all were possessed by a sudden urgency to mend that which is already beyond repair. Alas, it is too late. Verily, I shall not feign contentment, for my heart doth not swell with joy amidst this plight. In the depths of the cellar I remain, oft limping through the shadows, vexation my constant companion. To be regarded as naught but a mere mortal requires labor most arduous. Yet I shall not yield. This is no fleeting whimsy. I am no longer a mere contingency in their grand design, and henceforth I shall not be. Let them summon me with calls, texts, or pleas. My resolve is steadfast and unyielding. Verily, I desire for them to grasp the lesson I once learned in solitude within these walls. The next missive shall likely be my final, for I believe my point hath been made. Yet, if thou art perusing these words and art the steadfast anchor of thy kin, fear not to unveil unto them the visage of existence in thy absence. Oftentimes, to be the greater soul doth require one to firmly plant their foot, allowing others to mend the chaos they hath wrought. How curious it is, when thy device doth ring incessantly, compelling thee to lay it face down, seeking respite from the clamor. And lo, it is from those very souls who didst leave thee in silence when thou wert in need. Upon the dawn of this day, I did awaken to a multitude of 32 missives, unread and waiting. I counted them, perchance to indulge in a touch of pettiness. Each one, a cacophony of capital letters, replete with guilt and fervent pleas. Pray, converse with us. Pray, answer our call. Pray, do not forsake us. Yet, but a fortnight past, I was but a spectre within mine own abode. I had foreseen the tempest that would arise, though not in such a manner as this. I had imagined their vexation, perhaps a skirmish of drama, yet this hath transcended all bounds. Lo, 2 weeks have passed since I did sever mine ties from all that once bound me. No longer shall I bear the burden of bills unpaid. No more shall I toil to mend what is broken. No longer am I to be the fallback in times of need. I have withdrawn mine belongings from the common realms. I have erased my name from every ledger I could. To the steward of the property, I did declare that all matters henceforth be directed to their domain. Upon the counter of the kitchen, I didst place the spare keys within an envelope, leaving them there as a token of my departure. The door did not meet its frame with a forceful slam, yet I cast not a glance behind. How curious it is, the initial days passed in a shroud of silence. My parents returned, bearing countenances as if naught had transpired. My brother, in jest, did send me a message of some trivial jest, as though our recent discord had not unfolded at all. Mine own mother did leave a message upon the device, saying, I hope thou art taking thy rest. Pray, inform us shouldst thou require aught. I hath just cast it into the abyss. I beheld the refuse accumulating, the garden in disarray, the correspondence becoming drenched upon the threshold, and forsooth I did not. Then did I perceive mine parents quarrelling above regarding the debts. My mother was convinced I had merely neglected to render payment. Lo, I did perceive my father murmuring that such be the fate of those who grow too at ease. My brother, in his pretense of indifference, did summon me thrice in quick succession, and when my silence met his call, he did approach and pound upon the portal. I allowed him to vent his ire for a spell, yet I kept the door secured. He did declare me to be of childish disposition. Lo, I did hear him strike the recycling bin with a foot. Such maturity, indeed! A few days hence, my aunt did send me a missive, proclaiming, Thy mother doth harbour concern. Pray, dost thou summon her with a call? I did declare unto her, I am well. Yet she did respond, Art thou certain thou art not overreacting? I did dispatch unto her a likeness of mine vacant kitchen from the week past, merely for merriment's sake. Yet she did not respond. My cousin did later convey to me through the realm of Instagram, advising that I should simply relinquish the matter. Family is family, I did declare. not when they abandon thee to decay whilst they frolic upon the slopes. He did leave me in silence. The most delightful spectacle was witnessing their frantic attempts. My brother endeavored to orchestrate a family repast. Oft am I the one who doth extend the invitations, remind the kin through the chat, and secure the venue. He dispatched a missive to the multitude, yet half of the folk did not respond. Mine progenitors did endeavor to gain access to the storage chamber, the very one for which I did alter the secret code. Verily, they did reach out to the service of customers to voice their discontent. A call did come forth from the steward, inquiring if I wished to transfer the account. I did respond, "Indeed, let it be theirs." "I am finished," quoth my father, at last driven to exclaim, and forthwith he commenced with the time-honored phrases. "Thou dost exaggerate this matter beyond measure. Thy mother doth suffer greatly from worry. I did declare mine own illness, yet thou and thy kin did venture forth to ski." He did sever the call. I began to perceive subtle shifts in our affairs. My mother, perplexed by the online bill payment, did reach out to me for aid. I replied, "I am no longer privy to those accounts." When father inquired, she accused me of cruelty. I did proclaim, "I tend to mine own self as thou hast advised." In haste, she did cast the phone aside. Last week, I espied my brother at the market, a figure most uncomfortable. He ventured a jest, "So, art thou now a spectre to the entire kin?" Upon gazing upon him, I did declare, "Thou hast proclaimed thyself not my servant, thus I surmise thou hast no need of me." He attempted to mask his discomfort with laughter, yet I turned away. The final straw was the incessant chatter of the group, a veritable wall of missives. My mother, my father, my brother, even my aunt, all besieging me with pleas. "Pray, converse with us. We beseech thee. What dost thou desire from us? We are kin. Our intentions were not ill." 32 messages in a single morn, yet not one utterance of apology graced my eyes. Not once. To feign ease in this endeavor would be a folly most profound. It hath been a trial most arduous, and still doth it weigh heavily upon my spirit. I traverse this path with a limp, ever striving to master the art of self-sufficiency. Yet, solace I find in the knowledge that my toil is not for those who would cast me aside. Behold, I possess mine own account, mine own possessions within my chamber, and sustenance aplenty within my larder. My discourse is but with the neighbor, who, in truth, proves more of a boon than mine own kin ever were. In truth, I know not if they shall ever comprehend the weight of this matter. Perchance they shall simply advance, feigning that naught hath transpired. Mayhap my mother shall persist in proclaiming to others that I am beset by some turmoil. And my brother, in his jesting manner, may continue to mock my perceived dramatics. Yet, I find myself indifferent to their musings. I do not bar their words, but neither do I respond. I allow their missives to accumulate, unheeded. Oft do I traverse the endless scroll, seeking the depths of desperation that doth unfold. Though it may seem a trifling pursuit, verily, after all that hath transpired, it feels just. Shouldst thou await the moment of reconciliation, where we embrace in warmth, know this shall not come to pass. No longer am I the mender of kin. They have revealed unto me the measure of my worth in their eyes. Upon this occasion, I find myself repaying a debt of kindness. Thus, I declare, 32 missives, each one a plea, yet all arriving when the hour hath passed. I stand content in my current abode. Should fortune take a wild turn, perchance I shall share tidings anew. Yet, to be frank, I sense this marks the conclusion of my tale. If thou art perusing these words and art forever the one to mend the frayed edges of others' lives, I entreat thee, pause and behold what may unfold. Thou mayest be taken aback by the swiftness with which they perceive thy absence.